is the story of the Winchester Mystery House. Stay tuned after this. What's up, Grayson Report? Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. The weekend is almost here, but not quite. I hope your week has gone well thus far. I do have this cool article, and it is on the Winchester Mystery House. I have spoke about this house on previous streams, but I've never actually deep dived into it. It is a place I've been wanting to go to, but I have never gotten a chance yet, but I'm hoping to in the future. Let's check this out. It is an article from All That's Interesting, and it is, let me move the article up, the terrifying true story of the Winchester Mystery House and the tormented Harris who built it. This article is about a year old, give or take. Over the course of 40 years, Sarah Winchester had the so-called Winchester Mansion built in San Jose to her bizarre specifications in order to appease the ghosts she thought were haunting her. There was no plan, no official blueprints were drawn up, no architectural vision was created, and yet a once unfinished house took shape on a sprawling lot in the heart of San Jose, California. Inside, staircases ascended through several levels before ending abruptly. Doorways open to blank walls and corners rounded to dead ends. The house was the brainchild of Sarah Winchester, heir by marriage to the Winchester firearms fortune, and since the project began in 1884, rumors have swirled about the construction, the inhabitants, and the seemingly endless maze that sits at 525 South Winchester Boulevard in San Jose. The origins of the Winchester Mystery House. Today, the house is known as the Winchester Mystery House, but at the time of its construction, it was simply Sarah Winchester's house. Sarah Winchester was the widow of William Wirt Winchester, heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. Born around 1840, Sarah Winchester grew up in a world of privilege. She spoke foreign languages, attended the best schools around, married well, and eventually gave birth to a daughter, Annie. However, tragedy struck in her late 20s when Annie died, followed by the death of Sarah's husband, William, more than a decade later. It was very uncommon for women to be educated, and I am impressed that she could speak 4 languages. I mean, I can speak 1 and a half, but she did grow up in privilege and she attended the best schools. So, I do feel for her for the loss of her daughter and her husband at the same time. That must have been rough. I mean, because and she was left alone basically after that. After William's death in 1881, Sarah inherited roughly $20 million, over $500 million in 2019 dollars, as well as 50% of the Winchester Arms Company, which left her with a continued income equal to $1,000 a day or $26,000 a day in 2019. The only good thing is that, I mean, the positive is that she was set for life. She wouldn't have to worry about living expenses or food or anything. She was set. Newly in possession of a massive fortune and struggling with the loss of her husband and daughter, she sought the advice of a medium. She hoped perhaps to get advice from the beyond as to how to spend her fortune or what to do with her life. If you have seen one of my previous streams, I did speak about Ouija boards, and at that time, Ouija boards were used like a magazine on the table. Like it was an everyday item. Um, it was a thing back then. It didn't really get the stigmatism of being evil until The Exorcist came out. So I get why uh she that would interest her, because that was a thing to do back then. That was a thing to contact mediums, to be in contact with the spirit world. So it makes sense. Though the exact specific remains between Sarah Winchester and her medium, the story goes that the medium was able to channel dearly departed William, who advised Sarah to leave her home in New Haven, Connecticut, and head west to California. As far as what to do with her money, William answered that too. She was to use the fortune to build a home for the spirits of those who had fallen victim to Winchester's rifles, lest she be haunted by them for the rest of her life. My thing is how did she know it was William? Because you I mean, even going through a medium, I'm kind of 50-50 with mediums. Like, I want to believe them, like, I believe them, and then I don't believe them. And then same thing too, like when you're using I've never used a Ouija board, but when you're using a Ouija board, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know if that is your loved one or something evil trying to act like your loved one. So how did she know that was her late departed husband? Building the Winchester Mansion. In 1884, Sarah Winchester purchased what would later become known as the Winchester Mystery House. At the time of the sale, the house was a small unfinished farmhouse, but that quickly changed. Winchester hired carpenters to work around the clock, expanding the small house into a 7-story mansion. Due to the lack of a plan and the presence of an architect, the house was constructed haphazardly. Rooms were added onto exterior walls, resulting in windows overlooking other rooms. Multiple staircases would be added, all with different size risers, giving each staircase a distorted look. Stranger so was the fact that many of the alterations seemed pointless. Staircases would ascend several levels, then end abruptly. Doors would open to solid walls, and hallways would turn a corner and end in a dead end. Additionally, Winchester insisted that the home would be built exclusively out of redwood. However, she didn't like the look of the wood, so she insisted it be covered with a stain and a fox grain. By the time the house was completed, over 20,000 gallons of paint had been used to cover the wood. By the turn of the century, Sarah Winchester had her ghost house, an oddly laid out mansion with 7 stories, 161 rooms, 47 fireplaces, 10,000 panes of glass, 2 basements, 3 elevators, and a mysterious funhouse like interior. I don't know how one could live in a house with 161 rooms by themselves. Just imagine having to clean that house. I mean, obviously she had money so she could hire a maid, or I should say maids, but just imagine being in that huge house by yourself. I I don't know. I would feel like that's too much house for me. Anyone who set foot in the house could tell that no expense had been spared. Gold and silver chandeliers hung from the ceilings above hand inlaid parquet flooring. Dozens of artificial stained glass windows created by Tiffany and Company dotted the walls, including some designs by Louis Comfort Tiffany himself. One window in particular was intended to create a prismatic rainbow effect on the floor when light flowed through it. Of course, the window ended up on an interior wall, thus, the effect was never achieved. Even more luxurious than the fixtures was the plumbing and electrical work. Rare for the time, the Winchester Mystery House boasted indoor plumbing, including coveted hot running water and push button gas lighting available throughout the home. Additionally, forced air heating flowed throughout the house. Unfortunately, in 1904, an earthquake struck San Jose and the Winchester Mystery House sustained a heavy amount of damage. Thanks to the floating foundation, a foundation that equals the weight of the surrounding soil, the entire house was saved from collapse. The top 3 floors were ultimately removed, leaving the house with only 4 stories as seen today. There were more floors to that house? Oh my God. That house was huge to begin with. A haunted legacy in the famed San Jose estate. Throughout the years long construction of the Winchester Mystery House, Sarah Winchester would never confirm that she was building a haunted house. However, stories and rumors swirled through San Jose. Of course, you wouldn't confess that you were building a haunted house. They would have taken you to the asylum. The contractors who worked on the house reported Winchester having daily seances with local mediums in an effort to reach good spirits. These good spirits were reportedly consulted to find out how to best appease the spirits whom she allegedly built the house for. These spirits are reportedly what called Winchester to make so many illogical additions to the house. Far after the construction was completed, Winchester continued to make efforts to appease the victims of the Winchester rifles. Out of the 13 bathrooms in the home, only one functional in an effort to confuse any ghosts wishing to haunt a spigot. Furthermore, she would sleep in a different room every night in the Winchester house and use secret passageways to get from room to room so that no spirit could follow her. I like the fact that there's 13 bedrooms because 13 is considered such an unlucky number. So why 13 bathrooms? And why not sleep in every room of the house? You're the only occupant besides the spirits, of course, in the house. So why not use every room? I mean, why not? In the years Sarah Winchester lived in the house, the residents of San Jose whispered about its strange construction and even stranger inhabitant. But it was the years after her death that the wild stories became even wilder. After her death in September of 1922, Sarah Winchester left all of her belongings to her niece Marion, who had served as her personal secretary later in life. However, the Winchester Mystery House was never mentioned in her will, adding to the mystery of the home. After her appraiser deemed the house worthless due to its strange design, damage from the earthquakes, a long winded construction, Marion took everything in it and auctioned it off. The current owners of the house claimed it took 6 weeks to empty the house of all furniture, though the report is uncorroborated. I wonder if anyone has a piece of anything that was auctioned off in this house, because that would be pretty cool to have as a collectible. After the house was emptied, a local investor purchased the home for a cool $135,000. Just 5 months after Sarah Winchester died, the Winchester Mystery House was opened to the public for tours. That is crazy. It was just 5 months after she passed and they opened it up. They knew that, I mean, obviously this house is weird. So obviously it'd make a great tourist attraction. Mysteries continued to swirl at Sarah Winchester's house. Despite being fully empty, refurnished, and open for business, the Winchester Mystery House continued to surprise. While Sarah Winchester was alive, stories were told of a storage room in her home filled with over 25,000 or over 300,000 in today's terms worth of undisplayed riches, including a Tiffany window designed by Winchester herself featuring a spider web design. That actually sounds pretty cool. In 2016, a secret attic was discovered, though there's no proof it was the same secret storage room. Inside the attic was a pump organ, a Victorian-era couch, a dress form, a sewing machine, and various paintings. A year later, rooms that were never opened to the public were put on display, including sections of the home that had remained unfinished at the time of her death. Even 95 years after her death, it seems that Sarah Winchester's house was still holding on to some secrets. Secrets that fuel pop culture's obsession with the house. In 2018, Helen Mirna starred in Winchester as Sarah Winchester herself. The story took the rumors about the hauntings in the house and ran with them, depicting the woman crazed by that ghost of Winchester rifles. Filming of the movie took place at the actual Winchester Mystery House. I have never seen this film. I heard that it wasn't that great, but I'm definitely going to put it on my list to watch now. I need to catch it. Even if it was bad, I still need to see. I'm going to watch it. Additionally, the home has been the setting for numerous supernatural horror movies and novels, and its mere existence provides ample inspiration. Since her death, little has been uncovered about Sarah Winchester and the reasoning behind her obsession with building the Winchester Mystery House. She gave no interviews, left behind no journals, and had no family willing to speak about her. I don't think I would admit to the ghost telling me to build all these crazy things in my house to appease them. I don't think anybody would. I mean, even though they were kind of more open to it at that time, I feel like still there's a stick. I still feel like they would probably have sent her to the insane asylum. Occasionally, visitors to the Winchester mansion will report feeling the spirits that have long resided in the home, though, of course, paranormal investigators have turned up nothing. But perhaps there are still some spirits haunting the abode, maybe even Sarah Winchester herself. After all, she built the house for the restless dead. Why not take advantage of it herself? I have heard about the Winchester house, that there may be portals. Though this article did not mention it. When I talk about portals, I mean portals to the spirit world where they can let where the spirits enter into the house. I'm not sure how plausible that is, as I have never seen anything written about it. Guys, comment below, have you had a chance to visit the Winchester Mystery House, and what stories have you heard about the house? And as always, I go live every Saturday, Monday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Stay spooky and sweet nightmares, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you, guys.